start recording, and I'm not going to test today if it's doing it right. I'm going to have faith. Okay, so in the first, second, and third video, we basically got here. And in this in this specific lesson, you are given very, very little information, but you have to come up with a whole spreadsheet from very little information. Now, the only thing that you were given, the only amounts that you were given were the revenue amounts and the assumptions at the bottom. Now, as you can see here at the bottom, I have got all of these here already, and they are ready to work for us. And I'm thinking that these are supposed to be percentages and so on and so on. So I'm just probably going to have to go and do that quickly. So, by the way, how do you make a regular value a percentage? Well, this is not a percentage, by the way. 5,000, this is an amount, and this is also an amount. But the margin and the other percentages at the bottom, okay, those are percentages. And so when you click on percentage, it will change into percentages. All right. I'm wondering if mine has already been changed with my goal seek, but that doesn't matter because the calculations will stay the same nonetheless. Okay, so let's start with cell H1. In cell H1, in the instructions, it says that we have to enter the system date in cell H1. And a system date is basically the date right now. Okay. And sometimes it gives us the time and the date right now. So whenever it asks you to enter the system date somewhere, you just go ahead and you say equal sign now, open, close bracket. And that is the formula for the system date. And when you press enter, you will notice that it gives you the date and the exact time. But this time and date will change whenever you open your sheet. So if I open it tomorrow at 3 o'clock, it will give me tomorrow's date with the time being 3 o'clock. So every time you go into it, it will give you the system date. Okay, so if you wish to enter a date that is not going to change all the time, you will have to enter it like physically go and enter the time and set it not as a time block or a date block, but set it just as a regular text box, and that is going to keep the time. So you were given some assumptions, all right, and you were also given some values here at the top with regards to the revenue. And you had to now go and enter all the formulas and calculate all the values. And some of them are quite easy, but most of them require absolute cell referencing. Now, in my very first video that I uploaded for you guys there on the list, it's a little bit of an introduction to absolute cell referencing. So if you haven't watched it, go and watch it. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that now. So if we want to calculate cost of goods sold, we are going to enter a specific formula. And I'm first going to enter it without the absolute cell reference, and then I'm going to enter it with the absolute cell reference, and you're going to see the difference. Okay. So first of all, the formula for cost of goods sold is equal sign B4, in other words, revenue multiply bracket, and these formulas you always get, so don't become panicky about the formulas. So the formula says B4 times 1 minus B19, and if I scroll down you will notice that B19 is the margin, and then close the bracket. Okay. Now remember, whenever we use formulas, you know by now, this is like the third class participation that we're doing, so you know that we must click in the block in the formula. For example, I'm clicking in B4 so that it says B4 and not 45,000. Why? Because when I click in the block and it says B4, if I copy my formula over, it's going to be B5, B6, B7, B8, B9, and so on until you are done. But if I would have said 45,000, it's going to keep that 45,000 all the way through, but you will see that this is 52 and this is 67,000 and so on and so on. So that is why you cannot enter a value. You must enter the address of the cell. Now, if you go down to B19, and you will notice that I haven't pressed enter yet because I want to show you this first. When you go down to B19, you will see in B19 I have this value. So when I copy this formula down, it is going to become B20, B21, B22, B23, B24. But we have absolutely nothing in those cells. So what we need to do is we need to tell Excel to keep this cell fixed. In other words, freeze that cell so that it doesn't change to become something else. Okay. Now, first I'm going to press enter and show you what's going to happen if I don't insert my dollar signs. Okay, what are the dollar signs? The dollar sign is an absolute cell reference between a B, before and after the column value. In other words, before and after this B, a dollar value is inserted to fix or freeze the B. Okay, you'll see what I mean now. Okay, so I'm going to press enter, and now I'm going to copy over. Okay. Now notice, okay, that's not the formula there. This is total, so I'm not copying into total. Quickly look at my formulas over here. You will notice now that the first one is B4, C4, D4, E4, F4, G4, which is fine because we do have a value in C, D, E, F, and G. But now look at the next one. B19, C19, D19, E19. And if you look here, you will notice there is nothing in these values. So we should have made B19 absolute to make sure that B19 is not copied or is not changed to C, D, E, F, G. Okay, so going back. So rangefinder is a word you heard in the second class participation. When you double click in a cell with a formula, it gives you a range. So that is what we call rangefinder. Okay, so I will now have to insert dollar signs next to this one. And how do we do that? We just simply press F4, not F and 4, but function 4. In other words, F4, the little button above the 4 on your keyboard. So when you insert or click with your mouse next to B, you just simply press F4 and it will insert the dollars. So you don't go and type the dollar sign in between them. You can, but remember what I always say about human error. You don't want to make a mistake. Sometimes if we do it with manually enter the dollar sign before and after, sometimes we make a mistake. Maybe we miss it, maybe something else, I don't know. So please make sure that you don't enter the dollar sign manually unless you really want to. But like I said, I'm not encouraging it because you could make a mistake. Okay, so now I'm pressing enter, and if you look closely, you will see my formula is exactly the same. The only difference is that now I have dollar signs before and after my B, and that means my B is now going to remain put, B19. So now I'm clicking on the cell with this new formula, and I'm copying this over, and as you can see, now I'm making my formula version again. As you can see now, because I put in the absolute cell values, now B19 will remain B19 all throughout the calculations. And that is how, well, that is basically absolute cell referencing. So when you are entering a cell that cannot change when you copy it, it cannot become the next value. It cannot change over to the next column or the next something something. You must insert the dollar signs. And this is what this whole lesson is about. This whole spreadsheet is about the assumptions. Using the assumptions to populate the spreadsheet. So cost of goods sold was a very straightforward calculation with the dollar sign. Just notice that we did not insert a dollar sign with the first one, simply because the first one does have to change. B4 must become C4, must become D4. So B4 must not stay fixed. that one must not get dollar signs. Okay, I'm so passionate about this because I know often it's a bit of a confusing thing, this absolute cell referencing. So let's look at gross margin. Okay, that is a straightforward formula which we can just enter B4 minus B5. And in this case, we don't use absolute cell referencing because in C4, C4, D, E, F, and G, all of those lines do have a value. So we will simply just enter the formula and we will copy it over. So that formula, very straightforward. Okay, so now we get to the expenses, and you will see this is a heading. And when we enter, by the way, this is how it's going to look when it's done. Okay, I've got the finished one here on the side. I just want to go and show you guys the calculations here as well. So this being our little heading. So I'm going to leave bonus for last or second to last because bonus is an if statement. And you would have seen this in my video, in my third video, but I'm just going to leave it a little bit because I first want us to get this absolute cell referencing well under the knee. Guys, so I'm just gonna I'm not gonna highlight the whole row, but I'm just gonna make this one yellow so that you know we're getting back to this one. Now when we get to commission, the formula is also given. Now if you look here at the top, okay, you will see here is commission and here is commission. So we have got commission at the bottom. So every time we use the one with the one at the bottom. So commission here will work with this percentage. Kiosk rental will work with this one. And again, you don't have to know the formula. Okay, it's given. Okay, so in this case, the formula is B4. So you're going to click equals, you're going to say equal sign B4 multiply with B22, which is commission. All right, now you guys will know, again, I will have to use my absolute cell referencing because I'm going to copy this thing over and I'm going to have to make sure that B4, that B22 is not going to change to C22, D22, E22. And I just need to know, you guys to know that this one does not get the dollar sign because this one must change to C, D, E, F, and G. Okay, you're going to hear me say that a lot today. So I'm inserting my dollar sign. The formula is so straightforward. It's just B4 times B22. Press enter, and simply because I did use the absolute cell referencing, I can copy to the side with ease because I know it's not going to look for a value here where there are no values. So you will see that every time I copy the formula, B22 will remain the same. It will remain B22. Now the next one, kiosk rental has something below as well. Here we have a kiosk rental. So once again, we will be saying B4 multiply. And now I'm looking for the kiosk rental percentage. Here we go. But I have to insert dollar signs because this cell value must stay fixed. So I'm not saying, I'm not going to press F and 4. I'm pressing F4, the function 4. Function 4. I'm going to take a photo of function 4 for you and I'm going to show you that that is the one that you need to press. And because I used an absolute cell reference, I can copy with ease. I don't have to worry because every cell I copy it to, the B23 will remain B23, but the first one will change to C, D, E, F, G. Marketing. Here we go. Once again, I'm going to B4 multiply. Okay, now I'm looking for the marketing one over here, which is that. Dollar signs. There we go. Enter. So what you need to remember is to insert the dollar signs, and also common sense will tell you when to insert the dollar signs because you cannot just copy anywhere and everywhere. You must make sure that there is something in that cell before you say, oh, let's copy the formula over. Okay, next one, equal sign, and once again we go to B4, and now we're looking for maintenance and equipment. B4 multiply this one, dollar signs. Okay, And as you can see, we started off with only one row of numbers and then some assumptions. And with all of that, we are able to calculate the rest of the spreadsheet. Now that we have done everything, you will notice here we have a total that we will calculate. But before we do that, it is now time for the if statement. Now I'm going to open the if statement for you quickly that I have here. I'm just going to quickly stop sharing and share that. Okay, so let's just quickly talk about the if statement. This I put on your Google Classroom as well. So we have an if statement, all right, and there's going to be something that is true or something that is false. In this case, there will be, for example, a logical test, which is the first part. Then we must do something if it is true, and we must do something if it is false. Okay, so here, here's an example. Sales revenue greater or equal to 60,000. Is it? Yes. Then you can get a bonus of 5,000. No? Then you don't get a bonus. Now, in the one that we are going to use today, it is going to have a look at different cells. It's going to compare different cells. So you're going to test it. You're going to say, is the revenue or B4 greater than or equal to B21? Now you make a comma, and in some of you, it will be a semicolon. You will test your computer. I think in mine, it is going to be a comma. I will check now. So if the comma doesn't work, you will go with semicolon. You make a semicolon or a comma, and now the next thing that you do, this is what will happen if the value is true, or if the logical test returned a true value. In other words, yes, it is greater than B21. Oh, if it is, then this value will go into that cell. If no, then you make another colon or a comma, this value. So the if function instructs Excel that if the projected April revenue in cell B4 is greater than or equal to the sales revenue for bonus in B21, then Excel should display cell B9. Okay, in this case there was a typing, I think it's supposed to be 20. If it is not, then it must display a 0. Okay, so having said that, let's go and apply that. I'm heading there, there we go. Okay, so here is our bonus line. So you can do it two ways, okay? You can say equal sign if. I'm going to show you both ways. There's another way. It looks a little bit different in the book, but it's the same, basically the same. Okay, so always we start with equal sign if being the another function that we use. So I'm double clicking on this one because this is what I want to use. Okay, so once you get here, you will know what your computer uses. You're going to have a logical test, and as you can see here, my computer uses a semicolon, and you can tell because it shows you here, logical test, semicolon, value if true, semicolon, value if false. All right. So our logical test is as follows. B4, okay, greater than or equal to, equal to. Now, we are going to test against the value in B21. Now, if you look here in B21, the sales revenue for bonus is 60,000. And if you just look with your eye like this quickly, you will see 45,000 is not more or equal to than 60,000. So if we do this if statement correctly, in this cell, it's going to say 0 because it's going to test our logical test. It's going to create it's going to test to see if the cell is bigger than the other one. If it is bigger, that cell would have displayed 5,000 bonus. But we know it isn't, so it should display 0 if we do it correctly. So it is going to test against cell B21. B21. But now you must remember your absolute cell referencing, because if you copy this thing over to the side, it's going to look for stuff in C21, okay? D21, E21. So also in this formula, you must insert your dollar signs by clicking F4. So that is my logical test, and now I'm ready to continue, and I'm putting down a semicolon. If yours is not semicolon, yours is comma. Okay, just check your own computer. Now we are ready for the value if true, and you know that because when you put your mouse here, you can see this is the next thing that we will use. So if it is greater than 60,000, then there will be a bonus in B20, so B20 will be displayed. And again, there is nothing in C20, there is nothing in D20, there is nothing in E20, so you must once again click on F4 to insert the dollar signs. Even here, no matter where any formula you think of can contain a dollar sign, it is fine. It's not something that you should be afraid of. Use it whenever you feel you should. Now we are continuing to the value if it is false. So we said if it's not, they should just be displaying a 0. And now you will see my logical test is complete. And it's going to see if it is greater than or equal to, it's going to display this. If not, it's going to display a 0. So when I press enter, you will see it's going to display a 0 because it is not greater than or equal to 60,000. Now, because I use dollar signs, of course, I can copy with ease, and you will see that these ones are greater than 60,000, and that is why they display the bonus. The other way that you could have used the if statement is by clicking on this function over here. So I'm going to do it that way as well. I'm just going to quickly delete everything first. So you could have also selected this block where you want to insert your formula. You could have clicked on FX and you could have selected the if statement from this list. Here you have your most used functions. Okay, here you have 3 lines. You have your logical test, your value if true, your value if false. This is a very nice box to use. For me, it just takes too much time, but you can definitely use it. Works the same way. Click in the cell greater than or equal to B21. Insert your dollar signs again. What is the value if it is true? That would be the 5,000 bonus. Once again, insert your function, your absolute values. What is the value if it is not? 0. And you will always see if it's going to work over here. If there was a mistake in any of this, it would have given you an error message over here. Okay, so if you want to read this, it says it checks whether a condition is met and it returns the value if it is true and another value if it is false. Click on OK, and once again you will get the same result. So you can decide if you wish to type equal sign if, and if you wish to type or if you wish to go to this function box. You can use it for any function that you can think of. If you can't find it in this small list, you go and look for it here in this big one. Okay. If you know the name of the function, you can go ahead and look for it there. Alright, so now we are just left with calculating a small total over here, which is an easy sum function. So we're going to go and say equal sign sum and just select all the expenses. We don't need dollar signs here because our dollar signs are used when there's something going on and you can't copy. Okay, operating income is just a regular minus operation, which is B6 minus B14, like that. Alright, so we have now basically calculated everything we could on the spreadsheet, and you would have noticed that I already did a little total here, but let me do it again. Sorry guys, I was sick before I went on holiday and I'm still sick, but I'm much better, sort of. Okay, so I'm adding everything together. Okay, as you notice that we don't need any absolute values here because there's just stuff going on. And notice what I'm doing. I'm copying all the way through, but you will notice here is nothing. So I'm just deleting these things that I'm not supposed to add together. Okay. Let Let me just remove my little highlighter over here. Okay. So the next thing is basically just formatting everything in here. And I'm just going to quickly format it in a few minutes. I'm not following the instructions specifically, but let me open the other one and just walk you through it a little, and then I'm going to show you how to insert a sparkline chart. Okay, so as you can see, the formatting is just creating a background color or using the paint bucket to create a background color. And of course, here we have our system date. Then of course you just changed it, what is this font, 36 to Century Gothic, 18 Century Gothic. And you will notice that I use the same for revenue, gross margin, operating income. Okay, at the bottom, my assumptions, I also did a background color over here, and I changed the text color to white, and you will notice that they are smaller, they are size 8. And of course, here we have all the assumptions. Then, as we've done in the second and in the first class participation, you will notice that we always do the first line and the total line. I'm going to just select it to show you. First line and total lines, and we usually format them the same way using either currency or accounting. Okay, how do you select them all at the same time? Let me just bring this back to 100. You just hold in control, and then the inside values, we usually just assign a comma style to them simply because we already used the rand here. Now if you want to name the currency that we're using here, or the formatting for currency is just a regular currency one, or what we call the floating dollar, because the floating dollar is right next to the amount. If you were to use the accounting style, I'm just quickly going to show you, it's going to move the rand all the way to the end like this, which I personally prefer more than this one, but we follow instructions, so this one we leave like that. Okay, now the next thing that they tell us, so with regards to formatting, we've done formatting many times, so I'm not spending much time on that. Let me just hop back here and show you how to create a sparkline chart. A sparkline chart is so cute and easy. Just notice that we don't use totals in charts, and I've said this to you before as well, I think for the second class participation. So when we create charts, we do not include totals. So in this case, they want a little sparkline chart for each of these things. So I'm going to do chart for the first one, and then of course you can just do it for all of the others as well. So you will notice that I select April to September, and when you go to insert, you will see here are some spark lines. Now first in the instructions, they wanted you to insert a line spark line. Okay, so they say choose the data that you want. Now we already selected that, and now they say where do you want it, and now I can just click in that cell. If you're going to select more than one cell, it's going to use more than one cell to drop that little chart in. But in this case, we just want our little sparkline in one block, if I want to call it that. Okay, so here we have it. Drop a little chart in here. Now, you can actually make sparklines for all of these, as you can see like that. And the next instruction that they tell you is change from a line chart to a little column chart. So now I'm going to go and change my type of chart to be a little column. It's a very easy little chart, this. Very uncomplicated, very, very easy. So if you go back here, you will notice that this is the end result with a very nice sparkline chart. Okay. Okay. Now you will notice, look at this little chart specifically. Can you see that 20, 20, 20, 20, and then of course 0, there is no bar to indicate that. Okay, now the next thing I need to quickly show you is goal seek and also what if analysis or what if assumptions. Now, if I tell you guys to do a what if assumption, it is exactly what it sounds like. What if I change the margin to be 75? then you simply go and do it. Oh, it will yield 82,895. Okay, just always remember that if you play around on your spreadsheet, don't save your changes unless you want to save your changes, because we don't really want to make these changes. We just want to see what will happen if we make these changes. So if you are in a business and you wish to see what if I did this or what if I did that, my recommendation is always make yourself a few copies and then just name them very well, save them as um, drafts or stuff like that, so that you don't mess with your original. Something else that also came up in the textbook is, how do you freeze panes? Okay, remember this spreadsheet is big, but it's not as big as it can get. Imagine if I had 12 months here, then it would have gone over probably over 2 sheets. So the only thing freezing panes helps with is if you wish to make or view all things at the same time. Okay, and that is not even something that let me just, here we go. That's not something that I enjoy using. It's a bit confusing, but let me show you how it works. Wherever you click, wherever you click, that is where it's going to split your screen and freeze your pane. Okay, actually not yet split, but let me freeze this pane over here. I'm going to freeze this one. So you will notice that I've selected a cell and it's now going to freeze everything between. So this intersection will be frozen, and you will see if I scroll, oh, it doesn't look like I froze that one. Let me just try again. Or I froze the wrong one. Oh, I said unfreeze. Okay, unfreeze and then freeze again. There we go. So when I said freeze, you will notice that a little line was inserted here at this intersection. So when I scroll sideways now, you will see my column A will always remain fixed. That is just simply to help you to always see what it is you were looking at in the beginning. For example, if you scroll to the side too far, you may forget your row values or your row titles, and that's the only thing that it does. So use it or not, for me it doesn't matter. Not used it much or ever. Another thing that you can use is you can split your screen. So let's say I click here, I can split my screen exactly here, and you will notice now that I've got it all cut up, and I can now move it all around, 4 of them. Okay, not recommending, only if you are using a crazy huge spreadsheet. So freezing and splitting panes, there's no way, if even if I ask you in the exam to split your screen, it wouldn't matter because I won't know if you can do it or not. Okay, so I'm just clicking on split again. Okay, so the what if analysis is very simply, like I said before, just changing values. And I know there is, in your homework assignment, there is a what if board at the bottom, and saying, for example, what if this was this and this was this. It simply just means enter the values they give you to see what change it will bring to your operating income, your total operating income. Then there's something else that came up, and that is the very last thing in this chapter, besides the chart, of course, and that is your goal seek. Now, I'm going to quickly open something that I also put on your, stop presenting here. There's something I put on your Google Classroom about goal seek. There we go. Okay, so goal seek, and you can't probably see it right now here. It's in that textbook that you have, but I just pasted it here so that I can talk about it quickly. Goal seek is if you are trying to see if you can reach a higher goal. For example, let's say you have a goal of a 1 million operating income, and you are willing to make changes to one of your assumptions. Um, of course, you decide which assumption is going to be the one that you either cut or boost or whatever. But GoalSeek helps you tell or helps you to see what you need to change in order to make 1 million or to make 100,000 more than you did. So GoalSeek is basically a what if analysis. It's almost the same as what if, but in this case, it just takes it a little bit further so that you can see how can I reach my goal. Okay, so you will notice that a little box will appear, and I'm going to do it with you guys now. A little box will appear on the screen, and in here you will enter your values if you know which ones it is you wish to change. Now, if we read the specific GoalSeek that we have to do for this lesson, it says go to GoalSeek and then select cell H16, which is obviously our operating income cell. And then we are going to type in 100,000. So that is going to be the goal that we are looking for. And we are willing to change B23. So let's go and see what must we do in order to yield 100,000. Okay, so I'm going back to Excel. Here we are. So here we are at 92,000, and we are saying we would like to get to 100,000. Okay. Now, in order to get to GoalSeek, you will have to select data on your menu bar, and then here on the side, you will see what if analysis. And when you click on the arrow, you will see there are 3 choices that you can make: Scenario Manager, GoalSeek, and Data Table. If ever you decide to do advanced Excel, this is Data Table is very nice. Yeah, it's very useful for people. Yeah, I guess I don't know if you guys will ever use, but anyway, it's very nice to know. Okay, so GoalSeek is the one that you are going to click on, and here we are going to continue with our values. Okay, I'm just going to delete H16 for now because I want to start with a clean block. So GoalSeek says you must select the cell that you are going to change the value of. So I'm saying I would like to select this cell. And do you see why I deleted it? Because it said H16, but it didn't insert the absolute cell referencing. But when I click in it, it did. So I'm clicking in H16. The dollar signs is inserted automatically. So which value are we trying to get to? We are saying we want to make 100,000. So I'm going to enter 100,000. Always have to count the zeros. Okay, you enter that 100,000 without commas, without the rand symbol, without any funny things. You just enter it the way it is. And that's why I have to count the zeros, because I just see a lot of zeros now. Then I'm changing a cell, and we are saying, we read just now that we are willing to change B23, and that is the kiosk rental. So I will be clicking in that, and you will notice that when I click in B23, it inserts dollar signs automatically. So my GoalSeek reads like this: I want to make 100,000, and I want to change my kiosk rental. Either it's going to be more or it's going to be less. But this will tell me what kiosk rental should be for me in order to make 100,000. Okay, now I'm going to click on OK, and it found a solution. As you know, kiosk rental was 10 or something, and it says that in order for you to make 100,000 operating income after 6 months, you will have to change it to 8.18%. Now here I need to just pause a minute. You must not click OK unless you want it to stay like this forever, because you cannot undo this OK. Okay. So I'm going to click on cancel. I'm just doing it one more time. Okay. So you want to go to GoalSeek, and you want to determine, I want to make 100,000, and I'm willing to change this one assumption. And as you can see, it's now 10 exactly. And now I click on OK, and it said it found a solution. You must change your kiosk rental to 8.18%. in order to make 100,000. Okay. So when you click on OK, it's going to stay that way. Okay. So I'm just saying cancel because I still have to do a chart. Okay. So let's just quickly look at this chart. As you can see, it's a column chart with all the expenses. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to insert another column chart just on another sheet quickly. So we are obviously going to create a column chart. Okay. So of course we have our months over here. I'm going to select this blank cell as well. Not selecting the total, holding in control, and now I'm selecting the expenses. And it says that we should insert a column chart. So here when we get to columns, you will notice this one is a column chart, and it doesn't look like it has to be a 3D one. It's just a regular one. Oh, I didn't look properly now. Okay, let's just choose this one for now. Okay, and now I'm going to move the chart to its own sheet. Okay, did I select the total? I wonder if I selected the total. Yeah, okay. You guys, I did the one thing I said you guys mustn't do. It looks like I did. April, May. Let's just do it again. April, May, June, July. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Because my chart is not looking right. Yeah, that's better. So I'm moving my chart to a new sheet, and this is the expenses. Alright, it looks like we made quite a few changes to this chart. For example, we also have the little amounts on the chart. We have a title over here. So let me go ahead and do that. So here we have a couple of styles, and the style that we are looking for may not be here exactly, but with some editing we'll probably get there. If you notice here, you will see this particular style contains also gives you the values, but if it doesn't, you can always do it here. Okay, when you click on the plus sign, you will notice that you can insert axis, okay, which is basically already there. Here you have your X and here you have your Y axis. You can also insert axis titles. I'm going to do that just for fun. Okay, so now you notice here is room for an axis title, and there's also one at the bottom. We have a chart title that can be used. So let's say I decide to insert data labels. I can do that, and here you will notice all the amounts showing on there. And then of course you can also insert a data table, which I'm not going to do right now. Grid lines, if I remove the grid lines, you will see these lines at the back will disappear, but they're actually quite nice to have, so I will keep them there. And of course we need a legend being the color code basically. Okay. So you will notice here it says series. Okay, that is because of course I didn't select the expenses, which I probably should have done. Otherwise now it should have said bonus, kiosk, rental, commission, and so on. So for the sake of time, I'm not going to do that right now, but just showing you, just take note of that. So here we can say 6 months. I'm not sure what the title should be. Okay. And in the axis title, you can actually just make a rand symbol. All right, like that. A little R, and then of course here you can say month. Oh, can't spell tonight. Month. Or is it right? It doesn't look right, but it's right. Okay, and so that is going to be your column chart for your expenses. All right, and so this will be the final product, and this is going to be a nice another way of looking at it. I'm just going to delete this one quickly because this will not be right. Okay, so I will put this one on Google Classroom as well so that you guys can play around with this if you wish. I didn't format it, like I said, just for the sake of time, but here you will have a perfect formatted spreadsheet. So I'm just going to stop my recording quickly so that I can answer some questions.